How horrible do you feel when you realize that you're not actually who you thought you were? Your self-image of being the most righteous, the most popular, the strongest, the smartest, whatever it is, not being true at all. Just another way to hide your insecurities, pain, and true identity, all to escape and deny your own reality, as yet another way to protect yourself from the truth. Such is the case with Don Quixote from Limbus Company. While we haven't actually seen the last two updates for Canto 7 yet, at least at the time of this recording, we all know that by the end of this canto, Don Quixote will wake up from her dream and come back to reality due to what we know from the actual novel and the hints that they drop throughout the whole game. But even with that pre-knowledge, the pain in her voice during the small flashes of her memories that we saw at the beginning of Canto 7, most likely about the future, hinting of her finally waking up from that dream, honestly killed me inside. Because it's not just her who experienced the pain of broken dreams, and especially the kind where you realize that you're not actually who you thought you once were. In fact, I'm sure each one of us has experienced it to some degree. Maybe not to the level of Don Quixote's that we'll see in the next two updates, but definitely up there. And whether it's realizing that you're not actually intelligent, not creative, not athletic, not righteous enough, and so on and so forth, that we're not some kind of genius or knight who can become some amazing shonen anime protagonist or isekai protagonist, that there were plenty others out there in the world who are way better than you in every aspect. All of it can destroy and interrupt your perception of reality, or fantasy in this case. Some may be good in a way, but a lot of it isn't. And in those cases, that single moment of realization, that fear that consumes you, drives you into a perpetual state of self-doubt and horror. Your heart may drop, your fingers tremble, your stomach churns, and you feel like everything was alive from the moment you were born to now. As if everything you've experienced and are experiencing isn't happening to you, but to another. Keeping up the lie in your head a little longer, even though you know that everything has ended inside. The denial in order to maintain what you actually thought of as reality becomes almost a lifeline to stay, in your view, sane in this life of yours. But the moment that denial shatters into billions of pieces, something flips a switch inside of you. That denial that once felt like a lifeline, then feels like a life-threatening rope that tightens and throws you to the ground coldly, abandoning you in a black world where darkness reigns and you cannot even see your hands in front of you. Hopeless. Devastation, fear, so much fear that you drown in it. Emptier than the crushed water bottle next to you, lost, confused, not seeing the white canvas in front of you, not knowing what to paint next. All because you can't see that the canvas in front of you represents you. And by the time you notice that canvas, you can't help but compare yours with everyone else's around you. How theirs is fully painted while yours is completely blank. So you start to feel like everything is crashing down at you at once. Your throat tightens, tears stream down, and you want to hide. All the shame, anger, bitterness, sadness, and betrayal that you feel. Even harboring thoughts of what ifs. What if they didn't tell me that I was so smart, so great, so talented all the time growing up? And when things have been different, would I have been able to be like those who could accept that they weren't the greatest at everything? The heartbreak that twists and turns your insides like a knotted ball of yarn. Nothing can prepare you for this unimaginable hell of your own making. And just like this, I can imagine Don Quixote reacting in similar ways by the end of this canto. Sure, it may not be something like realizing that her intelligence isn't actually the best amongst her peers, which is what a lot of A+ students might experience when they first go to college, but a realization that she will never truly be a knight, a hero that she admired in the Fixer magazines, even though those same Fixers know that they aren't chivalric and heroic in actuality, and that she will never live in an era that she romanticized too much. That will definitely break her by the end of this canto. In fact, it's clear that the true reality can be a bit too much for her to bear and accept, especially since she herself is a blood fiend and a second kindred at that, the same kind that she expressed so much disgust towards throughout the story. After all, how can one easily accept that they're a part of the species that they once hated and thought of as absolute enemies? Perhaps if she were to awaken as the second kindred once more, with all of her memories intact and without any distortion, including the current Don Quixote's memories, then the damage from that realization might not be as severe. But regardless of that, as long as she gathers up her courage and doesn't give up on her life, just as we shouldn't give up either, then there is still hope for a better future. And knowing how each canto has concluded so far, I am hopeful that as Dante, and with the support of the other sinners, we can help Don Quixote accept her reality and help her paint that white canvas of hers with colors that she didn't know was possible in the past. And while we don't know the exact nature of her wish when she signed the contract with Limbus Company, the fact that she has a strong support system in the form of us, including the other sinners, brought me great relief as I went through the beginning of Canto 7. But it also made me realize once more the importance of having a strong support system that actively reaches out and supports one another, even if that support might seem a bit unconventional to others around you. After all, without such a support system in place, any forms of struggles, including things like this, can end up drowning us into a state of constant misery or even make us believe that we're all alone, even if we're not actually alone. But as all of you might be aware, such a support system is hard to come by, no matter what year you were born in and what age you are right now. So that's why seeing Don Quixote having such a support system, and then seeing her accept her true reality by the end of this canto, will most likely feel relieving to those who may have already overcome similar struggles, or may even feel healing to those who are in the midst of experiencing it. Regardless of which one you are, or if you're in a totally different category, it's definitely a canto that one can most likely relate to, especially as you get older in life. And perhaps, even better, in the future cantos, we may finally see the fog surrounding Don Quixote disappear, with her becoming who she actually is supposed to become. Maybe in better ways than her previous state before signing the contract with Limbus Company. And most definitely in ways that are better than how she once was when she lived out her fantasies. But regardless of what actually happens in this canto, I think we can all collectively agree as a group, for the most part, that those who have a more realistic outlook on life and remain cautious about not romanticizing anything too much can ultimately fare better, due to staying more grounded and connecting more with those around them. And that, I believe, is what we'll definitely see in Don Quixote in the future, and what we ourselves should probably strive for as well. The knight who dies but rises up again as something anew, something more precious, something completely unique. No longer a knight, but something even better than that. Don Quixote herself.